This is the documented record of soil removal in Commerce, Texas. In the Norris community of Commerce, in Hunt County, there was once a chemical plant. It operated from the early 1950s until 1972. According to state records, the plant distributed insecticides and cotton defoliants. It also manufactured arsenic-based compounds. What follows is not theory. It is what has been documented, what has been reported, and what the record shows. In 1993, state regulators began sampling soil in residential areas surrounding the former plant. The testing did not stay on the plant property. It extended into the neighborhood. According to state findings, elevated levels of arsenic and other contaminants were identified not just at the site, but in nearby residential lots and in the surrounding area. The contamination had spread. By the time the investigation was complete, regulators had documented approximately 200 acres of contaminated surface soil. Arsenic was identified as the primary contaminant. In some locations, concentrations reached levels far above what was considered normal background. Thousands of samples were taken. Thousands of laboratory analyses were conducted, and based on those findings, the state concluded that the contamination posed a threat to public health and safety. According to the record, the threat was considered too serious to delay action. In late 1994, the United States Environmental Protection Agency assumed responsibility for the removal effort. The response was not limited to monitoring. It was not limited to containment. It involved removal. In 1995 and 1996, EPA conducted cleanup operations in residential areas surrounding the site. In locations where arsenic levels exceeded established thresholds, the top 2 feet of soil were excavated, removed, taken away. This included not just the former plant property, but portions of the surrounding neighborhood and nearby waterways. The ground itself was treated as contaminated material. The response was not just to study the land, it was to take it out, then replace it. That is the record. It does not describe a hypothetical risk. It describes a condition that required physical removal. A neighborhood where the soil in residential yards exceeded safe levels. A response where the top layer of earth had to be excavated in order to reduce that risk. And after that, the town remained. The streets remained. The homes remained. The community continued. On the surface, it returned to normal. But the record shows what had to happen underneath. Because there was a point in Commerce where the ground itself had to be handled like evidence. Not metaphorically, literally. Excavated, measured, removed, and replaced. This is not a story about one site. It is not a statement about one company. It is a record of what regulators found, what they concluded, and what had to be done in response. And it raises a different kind of question. Not just what was there, but how something like this is carried forward. The contamination was documented, the response was executed, the soil was removed, and over time, the event settled into the background. Because a place can return to normal on the surface, long before the memory of what happened beneath it settles in the same way. That is the part the record does not measure. Not the contamination, not the cleanup, but the distance between what had to be done and how long it remains part of the story people tell about where they live. My name is Cass Wakefield, and this is the Hunt County Signal. If there is a place in Hunt County where something feels off, even if it looks normal on the surface, leave it in the comments. Because around here, not everything disappears. Some things just get buried and then replaced.